Good day to you and welcome to another Paddocks Club video tutorial. Today I went with Karen, Zelinda and Anton to the CSOS and DHS public participation meeting at which they introduced the audience to the regulations under the Community Scheme Ombuds Service and Sectional Title Schemes Management Acts. This was the last of 9 meetings that they have held, one in each of South Africa's provinces. The officials and experts present included the Western Cape Ombud, that's Malatsetsi Wotini, a member of the CSOS board, Advocate Nomazocho Mamani, Dinky Dube, who is the Adjudicator General of the CSOS, Advocate Liteli, the Chief Director, Legal Director of the Department of Human Settlements, Prof. Stacey of Johannesburg University, who is responsible for the CSOS's financial modelling that informs the levy calculations, and Kwesi Ngwenya, who has been involved in the design and implementation of these 2 statutes since 2007. The meeting comprised a number of presentations. The Western Cape Ombud also handled the questions that the public raised on each set of regulations after the presentations. Advocate Mamani introduced the panel, and after various introductory remarks, she made the point that the meeting was not part of the parliamentary process, but a separate departmental and CSOS process. Mr. Ngwenya sketched the history of the 2 statutes and went through the headings to each regulation explaining its purpose. He emphasized the importance of people submitting written comments to the DHS because it is on these comments and not necessarily on things asked or answered at the public presentations that the regulations will be judged. Although the point was made later that all the questions were in any event being filmed and tape recorded. Advocate Litili placed the regulations in the context of the Interpretation Act and confirmed that the consultation process would be followed by the submission of the amended regulations to the Chief State Law Advisor prior to their submission to Parliament for final approval. Dinky Dube dealt with the CSOS's role in dispute resolution and the custody of scheme governance documentation before taking the meeting through the detail of the CSOS levy proposals. Mr. Ngwenya took the meeting through the headings of the STSM regulations and gave some detail of the comments that had been made in other provinces. Then the floor was open to questions, and the Western Cape Ombud allowed 3 or 4 questions at a time before giving the panel an opportunity to respond. The questions were wide-ranging and they included, I'll just give you some of them that touch me very quickly, a request for detail as to how the levies would be billed to schemes, criticism of the limitation of the interest rate payable on arrear levies to 9%, and a suggestion that rather it should be linked to the NCA, the National Credit Act rates, or the prime overdraft rates. A suggestion that there should be a maximum levy for any one scheme, because some schemes are quite big and the levies could get very big. A suggestion that the levies should be collected together with rates, and another that they should be paid annually. It was suggested that the counting of votes by value is not practical, in practice that is, and a requirement that the scheme maintenance plans be made somewhat more simple. The suggestion was made that they are too complex as presently phrased. There were questions about how levy disputes would be handled. It was suggested that the taxation of legal fees for levy collections would cause difficulty. It was also queried whether the department was going to implement compulsory professional scheme management. These and some other questions which I may have missed were all put to the panel, and most of them were answered, but in most cases the panel wasn't able to give any indication as to whether the suggestion would be implemented or not, but they did confirm that all written submissions would be taken into account and that submissions would be accepted until the 3rd of November 2015. Again, they encouraged the attendees to put their suggestions in writing. Overall, I think it was a well-planned and executed meeting, and it resulted in what I found to be a positive experience, and I think that feeling was shared by all concerned. You still have a few days to commit your thoughts to paper and submit them, and I encourage you to do so. Thank you for joining me in this Paddocks Club tutorial.